Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
See if we've got anybody.
And
Not yet. We've not got nobody yet. So I'll do a bit of sharing.
What?
I'll do a bit of sharing. Well,
Yeah, share it, then share it, share it. I said share it.
Share it.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah. Yes.
unless you're in a strange town where the residents don't like to share.
Yeah. So it is. It's weird, you know. It is definitely. I mean, getting about like I do in my Jaguar. It's a lot. It is really surprising how places do vary, and they really do vary. Some places are cheaper, you know, and other places, oh, like the place we went this week, found a little temple, little church, a little chapel, and it was weird. It was like driving through wrong turn because everybody stared at you. Really stared at you.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I've got to go back. I've got to go back and challenge that place. It's had us off kilter since we went, so whew, very pooky, you know. Right, we got? Who did you say we got?
We got Donna Jones
Jones.
Good evening.
and Charles has just come in. Hello, Charles.
Good evening, Charles.
Yes, we got Charles.
No, Eric. What's up with Eric?
Oh, he's slacking these days, isn't he?
Yes, it's terrible.
Rita's usually in before him these days.
Yeah, and he's on into her. She don't touch it, but she's there before him. Don't know how that works like, but there you go. So anyway, peoples, tonight's subject, amongst others, is spirit communication. So we'll be going down quite a few rabbit holes with this one, I should imagine. But yeah, this week has been a doozy. Travelled all over, and I mean all over. Today has been a trip to around Staffordshire and Stoke. And out of 9 places that we got written down, we could only access one. It is shocking, you know, these sites, these church sites that say that their churches are open 24/7 or they're accessible. And when you get there, they're locked.
Yeah.
It's not on that, you know, it's not on.
No.
They are not getting a Christmas card off me. I'm telling you.
No, none.
It's terrible. So, if you want to kick off with some examples, Ian, of spirit communication.
Spirit communication. Well, the basic one's got to be EVP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which the aid of a digital recorder. And if you're like me, you've got more than one. Because as a favourite topic of mine and Bryce, they record at different frequencies.
Wait a minute.
So I actually have 2 that I use in unison. And on a visit to my local true crime museum, which is 5 minutes down the road from here, with a member of Barry Guy's team, we both had our voice recorders, and he was picking up stuff that I wasn't, and vice versa. So since that time, I've always carried 2 audio recorders.
Yeah, and I've got my little.
Realizing the difference between the 2, and even on private cases, I will get completely different responses on each one.
Precisely. I mean, I have, even though it is digitally recorded, it's analog in its mannerisms. It is good old fashioned cassette recorder and player. Batteries, of course. This one takes batteries. You can plug it in, but there you go. And I take that. I do take that if I'm doing a night video. I'll take that and just set it off recording onto cassette. And it's surprising how much that picks up more than the EVP little digital recorder.
Yeah. I've got a
And then-
Sony one, which the microphones on it are brilliant. It will pick up everything.
You see?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my camcorder's a Sony as well. Because I
Yeah.
like the fact that they've got a vaster frequency range in audio.
Yeah.
And I find that my GoPros are very much the same as well. They are brilliant. If with GoPros you get a clear plastic case, which is meant to be used outside. But I find if you put the camera in that, and when I've got them fixed, because they're in that white clear box, it creates its own white noise.
Yeah.
And we get many EVPs through them as well.
Yeah, exactly. I've yet to try it, but do you remember in the early 80s, there was a fad for these little, what they're called, spy cassettes, spy
Yes,
recorders.
micro cassettes, yep.
They're very, very tiny, like an hearing aid. And you used your earphones.
Yeah.
Well, I modified mine very, very crudely, I have to admit. But all I did was I got the little gadget and I got a plastic beaker and cut a slot in the floor of the beaker just so that I could get hold of the wheel for amplification on the device.
Yeah.
And I just blue tacked it. Simple as that. Blue tacked it inside the cup. So the cup then acted like a parabolic receiver, and you'd be amazed. I've sat in the corner of a graveyard with that, listening to mice and what have you in the bushes at the other side of graveyard. That's how sensitive it was. In fact, and I've still got it, so I'm gonna trial that. But what I'm gonna do as well is plug it straight into EVP recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that it's on digital as well as it, because it'll only you can only listen to it with headphones. It won't record. So to plug it via a lead into EVP machine, you've got to record in that way, and it'll be sensitive. So something to experiment with. But like you said, they're all working at slightly different frequencies, even though the fine to your ear is what they're receiving, the equipment's receiving, not your ears. It's hard to explain to some people. You're hearing the same thing off each device, but what that recorder is picking up is different frequencies. So one will record something, will hear something, and the other one won't. It's fascinating. And if you've got that, I'll have the cassette. So just standard little mic on cassette player, that one going. The spy device going, ear set, plugged into EVP. So that'll make it 10 times as sensitive. And then your camera, your standard camera.
Yeah.
They're all different methods of recording. So spirit communication, it's not strictly speaking to them, but what it is, it's receiving their answers.
Yes.
It's a form, in a way, it's a form of it. Because you can speak to spirit and you think you're not getting no back. But all these different devices, and one will seem to suit a particular spirit. They're giving off in a different frequency. Because when you think about a spirit communicating, they haven't got a physical mouth.
No.
They haven't got physical ears anymore. They can hear ethereal stuff because we talk loads of different frequencies, so that we attract them and they can hear us. But talk back, how would they talk back?
Yes. Well, funny enough, you should say this. When my good friend Brian J. Cano, who is one for not just accepting he's got evidence, but he likes to know how he gets it. He did an experiment. He's been conducting it for a while now. But we did it in Nottingham, where there's several of you in the room, and you pick a word between you that's relevant. And you basically put the audio recorder on the table, press record, and then everybody in the room is shouting it or saying it in their head as many times as they can. And when he played it back, we had it on there 10 times.
Yeah.
So that shows you that it's a thought process, and it's probably exactly the same way that they do it.
Yeah. But the thing is, like I've said, is sometimes you hear them and sometimes your equipment hears them.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So they're obviously working on different frequencies.
Exactly.
For everybody, for people to say that, oh, a spirit does it this way and it works on X frequency. No, they're all different. Just like we are. Our pitch, our tone depicts a frequency. It's within a range, don't get me wrong. But when you're high pitched, it's a different frequency to when you're low pitched. Like tenors and baritones. They work to our ears, but actual frequency is slightly different. And this is why I've mentioned about, I think I touched on it last time with quartz. Quartz crystals are phenomenal, really, because you can keep chipping away at them, and it will alter the frequency. They'll still vibrate, but they'll vibrate at different rates. And that causes them to change pitch, which changes frequency. And this is why we used them in crystal radios.
Yeah.
And you use the copper wire to change the frequency, to change the vibration of it. And it would pick up different frequencies by doing that. No electronics involved, which always fascinated me. I'm thinking this little jam jar with a crystal and a copper wire, and just in an attenuator to change the frequency. I mean, then you think, well, where's sound coming from? Well, that also comes from the copper wire that's vibrating, and it connects to the lid on the jam jar, which acts as a diaphragm. So you can actually hear them. It's brilliant. Have you ever made a crystal set, Ian?
I have done when I was at school, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're fascinating.
It pretty much works on the same idea that a stylus does.
Yeah.
Like a vinyl record.
Yeah. But whereas that's circulating, because it's a recording, and it's picking up the vibrations that way, your quartz is picking up from the air and turn it back into audio via the copper wire and the lid as a diaphragm. I think it's brilliantly fantastic. And I mean, all them years ago, how did somebody come up with that?
Yeah.
that to me, I mean,
because I think the original one wasn't it tin foil?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. But you can make them with
tin foil on a rotor, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, it depends what wave you're trying to pick up: short wave, long wave, medium wave, AM, FM. They all vibrate at different frequencies. I once tried to explain to somebody what the difference was with AM and FM. And I says, to put it in layman's terms, in simple layman's terms, as AM means amplitude modulation.
Yeah.
So the more power, more wattage you can put down that channel, that if you think of it as a piece of wire, basically, the more power that you can put down it, the further that signal will travel.
Yeah.
Because it's amplified. But with FM, which is frequency modulation, you can't. It is a set frequency and a set power outage. The more you try to put down it, the more it will just spill. It's like trying to pour water down a gutter. It'll only take so much water, and then the rest is just, it flows, it overflows. It's wasted. So it's pointless trying to use power with frequency modulation. But with AM, if you can imagine getting that gutter but putting a lid on it, it'll take twice as much. Yeah, and you can actually force water down it, like a jet, like a what do I call them now? Jet cleaner. But you can't do that with FM.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. And then, well, that's the only way I could explain it, really. And they caught on anyway. And
we've got some comments. We've got Catherine. She's on the show on Wednesday. We've got Eric.
Hey.
Good evening.
Eric says that's why crystal glasses make sound.
Yeah.
We've got Catherine.
Yeah.
I've always found it to hit the ear wrong when people try to communicate by going, spirit, are you here? I mean, you don't walk into a room and go, Homo sapien, are you here?
Well.
And then maybe it's just
No, everybody receives, everybody picks up differently, don't they? Were there any more?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Well, I always go into a room and say, is there anybody here that wishes to communicate? Because me and you would already know there's someone in the room.
Exactly. This is the problem, like I've said, we're investigating. And I know I harp on it, but I'm sorry, but if you haven't got talent and you're not interested in learning and developing psychically, then I'd just suggest watch TV. Watch your favourite soaps, watch your favourite programmes, whether it's MH or GA.
Or something decent.
Whatever floats your boat. But I'd just watch it rather than trying to go out communicating using all these gadgets, because you have to be tuned in, even to your gadgets. You've got to be tuned in. And there's a guy, I was telling Nettie the other day, there's a guy called Brian Baker. For me, he's got it nailed down when it comes to using equipment. It's a piece of equipment that he's tried a few and he's had results with one particular piece. Now, again, it could be frequency, because even though there's loads of mass-produced pieces out there, they're not a fine art. And one could have a slightly different speaker to another, so it's transmitting on a slightly different frequency. Audibly, it'll be the same. To our ears, we pick it up because we've got a blanket response, haven't we, type of thing. But maybe it's slightly different. But the biggest difference, the biggest reason why I think he has results is he will religiously go to one location for at least 6 months, for at least twice a week. And he builds a rapport up with any spirit that's there. And he learns them and helps them use that frequency. He'll say, tune into this. Can I make it any different? Can you hear this? Is it weak? Is it, you know what I mean? And he'll do all this before he starts to get responses. But once he does, he can literally talk, and he's using the box as a go-between, as a medium, which that I find credible. But for somebody to walk into a building and they're talking to the box, they're not talking to spirit.
No.
That is just no. What you doing? You know why? You need to connect with the spirit first and help them. And if it helps them, then yes, by all means use it. But 9 times out of 10, for me, these, and I'll say, look, for my benefit, could you sort of leave me a recording? Can you put something on my equipment? And that's as good as anything with a video recorder or your phone. Phones are fantastic things. That's all I use is my phone.
See, I can't do that because it arrives here.
Yeah.
I don't hear. It just pops up here.
Yeah.
And if I get a name or something, I will, while I'm in the place, afterwards I will go away and I will find out.
Yeah, but
if it has any ties to that place, which quite a few times it actually has.
Yes, but the point is you're not communicating. That
No.
You're using residual. So I would suggest do it there and then, rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, I get most of my audio stuff off the equipment afterwards, and then I usually blow my clients' minds by giving them names and everything, and they're like, "Where have you got it?"
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But that's the proof that people want as well, though, because there is no better equipment than that.
Yeah, no, there isn't.
But people won't believe that, which is stupid. They'd rather believe a little piece of electronics.
Yeah.
And I think stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I always use equipment to back us up. And it's there for the benefit of the client as well, because it's fine us saying, "Oh yeah, I'm getting this, I'm getting that." The medium's picking up on stuff, but they're not seeing anything happen. If you've just gone in the room with no equipment and they're not witnessing anything happening, you know. So from our perspective, I've got the gadgets and it's mainly there for the clients.
Yeah.
You know, it's good when, I mean, sometimes we get into a place and they don't know how to communicate but anything but one of the pieces of equipment. But yeah, that's...
Yeah. I find the most validation of the law is probably to do both.
Yeah.
Use your own senses and everything else, and simply communicate like we would. We'd just sit there and talk to them, and people think we're cracking up because it looks like we're talking to a sense. But if you write the key words down and say that these are key words, then get some gadgets out and say, right, can you confirm by going through this list? And if they will put words onto these gadgets that you've written down first, that for me, that's phenomenal.
Well, that's where somebody who could do the history first, say nothing to anyone.
Yes.
Do that first, and then bring that out later.
Yeah. There used to be a series on Box, which was one of my favorites, and they called it Antiques Ghost Show. And it was a friend of ours as well. We both knew him, Derek. I met him a few times. That fella was fantastic, and I don't care what anybody says about trying to rubbish him. I've seen him do this, and he'd do psychometry basically. People would fetch these objects in, and he would touch them and get what he got from them. But there would also, at the same time, there'd be an historian and a family member giving information to the historian. And they would go away and find out what they could historically, and he would fill the blanks in psychically.
Yeah.
That, for me, was phenomenal. And I watched one where he got this ship in a bottle, well, in a case. And he said, you need to get that opened. And it turned out to be deeds.
Yeah.
It's a part of
yeah.
the kit.
Just to anyone who ever doubted Derek, you just got to remember when he was on a certain show, he was under contract.
Yeah.
He was
Exactly.
told what to do.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
Which is the problem these days with production teams. So if you want to have a decent show out there, you need a bit of influence with the production.
Yeah, Catherine says, and those devices are far.
They're not cheap, no.
And
No.
I found that when I'm doing my whole psychic medium thing and talking to them, I will audibly respond to what they're saying to me. But everyone around me is left going, the bloody hell is happening. And I have to remind myself that the rest of the team can't hear what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can tend to look very eccentric. I've gone through that phase. I've gone through that stage, and I just embrace it now. I don't care what people think. I'm a nutter, and I don't care.
Yeah. When people say, they say, "Oh, you're a paranormal investigator. What do you do?" I say, "Well, I spend most of my time standing in dark rooms talking to myself."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric says, "Is there a decent price?"
They are, Eric. They are. They're very, very, very good.
Yeah.
It's that shipping. I think that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we could find some sort of shipping that was cheap enough.
Yeah, for the price of shipping to the UK, Eric, we could buy you a camper.
Yeah. That's the problem. But,
plus the fact we get import tax as well from the US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest though as well, Eric, if you're still doing them, is we have always, me and you, we really believe in frequencies and whatever, and it's something that gadget guys need to catch up with. They tend to use audio that is standard audio, like when you go to these, just made one other day, one of them balls that when you go near it, it starts making a racket.
Yeah,
it makes a racket.
Cat ball.
Yeah. It makes a racket, but it makes a racket for our ears. It's quite audible. What about doing something with a frequency that's more to spirit's taste? And I find that something that's almost unhearable, but dogs can hear it, bats can hear it, like a dog whistle or a bat whistle. But just tune it a little bit so we can hear it, but only just. And I think spirit respond to that frequency, that level of audio, more than for me, sometimes they're annoying noises, you know what I mean? You don't want something making a screeching noise in the middle of an empty building.
Yeah. What we need is one of these electronic whiz kids that make these gadgets, like Gary Gulker or something like that, is to, as we've talked about before, design something that tells us what frequency they're transmitting on in a room. And I've got a hacked Roberts radio, which would be perfect. As soon as you know that frequency, turn it to it, bang.
Yeah.
It'd be almost like having a phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is what we need, because like I said, they all work on different frequencies. And what works for one doesn't work for another. Just same as us. It's like that's a perfect example. Some people can hear dog whistles, but there's a lot that can't. So that should tell you something, that they are slightly different frequency, and even as ears work on slightly different diaphragms, slightly different frequencies. So, and that's why we call it sometimes we're hard of hearing, but and others are really sensitive. Some people can hear a pin drop. So it just shows there's variation in us. So there's variation everywhere else as well, but people don't allow for that. With gadgets, you're tuning into a specific frequency. And that's why, is it the white noise ones that's constantly sampling? It's constantly going through frequencies. Now,
Yeah,
again,
that's a spirit box. Yeah.
yeah, but that's fine in one respect, but I think they've actually gone too far with it there because it's jumping too quick.
Yeah, I mean, you can slow them down. But even then, you're getting like one or two words. But if you can
Yeah.
find the frequency and stay on it, you'd be getting a full-on conversation, wouldn't you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But
I think
Catherine, I don't know. I don't want to know the history of the location until I'm done. The absolute most that I know going in is that someone is still here. I don't know names or activity. I don't know if it's good or not, or how many are there, or ages or anything. Yeah, well, that's what it's done, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like to know any history because, especially with private cases, it can lead you in the wrong direction. So I prefer not to know anything. And then if we get stuff matching up, then brilliant. Then we've got an area to aim at for when we go back. So,
but you also get mimics as well, don't you? So they can pretend to be what the hell they want.
Yeah.
And that happens quite a lot, to be fair. Well, he asked for me anyway.
Eric says he's going to be making something like that, Bri, as soon as he can. And Eric says he can hear dog whistles.
Yeah.
And Catherine says so can she.
Yeah. Which proves the point. Like I've said, a lot of the time it varies, it changes, and these harsh noises for our ears aren't necessarily good for theirs. I think sometimes it scares them off. It's like bells and whistles, you know what I mean? Or what's an example? You know these new noises that the police cars and that are coming up with?
yeah.
Oh my God. I have to stick my fingers in my ears. I hate it. So if you've got something like that going off and there's a spirit in that room, it's going to say, sod that. I'm not hanging about around here. So you're not doing yourself a favour. You're actually scaring them off rather than trying and attracting them. So again, it's what's the word? It's communication. It's spirit communication. Ask them what they want. You know.
Yeah, Eric's got a good one. Where's it going?
Go on.
Old Town radios, you can tune the different frequencies.
Yeah, I've got a hacked Roberts radio in the drawer there, which is perfect for that.
Precisely. If we knew exactly the range that spirits worked on, we'd stand a fighting chance. But it does vary. What I have noticed, and I need somebody to do the experiment. As far as I know, nobody's done it yet. But I did a formulation. I mentioned it on one of the first shows that we did, Ian, if you remember, about high-powered pylons.
Yeah.
Most sightings by laymen of spirit tend to be underneath or around high-powered pylons. So what I'm talking about there is people that don't believe in spirit, don't believe in ghosts, but they see them. They've seen them. Yeah. What the hell was that? You know, I swear to God I saw something type of thing. But I don't know what it was because I don't believe in ghosts, but I saw one. It's that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it confuses them. But I've noticed that all over the world, these things seem to be more prevalent under high-powered pylons. So again, it must be a frequency that they're giving off that allows spirit to be visible in a weird way, in a similar way to the an infrared camera trap works. When that beam breaks by an animal walking past it, it takes a picture. Now we need a camera that will trigger when a spirit walks under. So that's detecting changes in that given off frequency from that pylon.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be something that triggers them to be visible, but they're not being visible by camera from what I've noticed. It's from his eyes. So what frequency are our eyes working at?
Yeah.
And if we can get a camera that works at the same frequency, then we could probably use that camera to capture them. That'd be interesting because they would be clear images. There'd be clear pictures.
Well, funny enough, I mean, my three of my GoPros are ultraviolet, and we've caught some amazing stuff on them. Because
Exactly.
they say it's these things we can't see.
But this is obviously things that we can see. The pylons are making them visible. So it's bringing them, in a way, it's bringing them into our realm.
Yeah,
so
I mean, if people ever want proof of the frequency pylons give up, go and stand near one when it's raining.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it crackles like hell.
Yeah, because you'll hear it.
Yeah, it crackles.
Right.
Yeah, it crackles. Big time.
Eric says...
Crags. Go on, sorry.
Eric says, yes, hence the Tesla coil that he wants to make.
Yeah, I want one just to power my house.
Kia, we all want one of them.
I'm not going to say something. I'm not going to be naughty. In fact, sorry, I am. I need some for her gadget.
Behave yourself.
But yeah, it's a fascinating subject. But what really, beyond our own senses, is the best form of communication? I don't think there is one. There's things that can help.
It can vary, can't it? I mean, all the years I've been investigating, one time it can be EVPs, the next time it can be the spirit box, the next time it can be my cameras, the next time it's the REM pods. It can vary. I mean, it all depends on where you are and who's there, and what they are capable of affecting.
Yeah, but I think also it still needs human verification.
Yes,
because it's that validation by a human that makes it credible. And until we can get a machine that literally does it itself and translates itself, then we're always going to be needed. We're always going to have that skill. And that also leads to human error, because some people are better than others. Some people will exaggerate. Some people will fill in blanks. Me and you wouldn't do that. What you see is what you get. And what they say, we will translate.
Yeah.
Whether it makes sense sometimes or not, well, we can only apologize for that, can't we? You know what I mean? Maybe the ghost was dyslexic, but it's a maybe. At least we'll say it that way. We'll tell it as it is. And again, this is human error. That people say things and exaggerate things, and it's lost in translation. Then, for me, it's not making sense. And I've walked in many a place when there's investigations going off, and you'll get somebody spouting that to the layman sounds fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But I've got a spirit in my logo that's saying, "What a load of shite." Why don't they tell the truth? I've not said that. And you think, what can I say now? Am I going to tell this person that they're bullshit? No, you just can't, can you? So it's awkward. It really is awkward sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric's making a new gadget.
Good.
His next project is touch sensor Ouija board.
Now that's funny that no one's ever done that.
Yeah.
Very interesting, that one. Yeah.
That would that would be the next league, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't need to do much because it could work off the old like the twisty torch trick, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Where you turn it enough just to turn it off, and then like a. But again, it's just you'd have to have proximity. Well, you could almost have it like a REM pod, couldn't you? But the proximity would have to be so close to each letter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen these little hover pucks. They work on a bed with little tiny pin holes in them, so they float.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got something similar to that with a diode in centre,
Yeah, you could make it spin. Yeah.
you could put a dome over the top to get rid of anything external like breath and this and that other, and then ask them. So that diode, that it's hovering, it's got no contact with anything, so there's only spirit could move it. It would be so sensitive and easy to move. You would have to make sure, the only thing you would have to make sure is that board is completely level and it stays level. Because it's hovering, if it slightly moves, tilts, i.e. tilts, then it's going to float one way or other. Now, the purist in us would say it's too open to be able to be faked. But it would be very, very intriguing for a show to do it. It really would. I mean, to be able to get it to go over metal letters with a diode in centre to spell the words out, you'd have to be very good at tilting, wouldn't you, to get it to do it? Yeah. We are seeing that it's moving slightly, being manipulated. If it floats directly to these letters and then back to centre. In fact, yeah, I suppose you could program it to go back to centre, a bit like a drone. So as soon as it's triggered a letter, it goes back to centre. And then it'll go off again to another letter. There's some merit in this one. There is some scope for that, I think.
Eric says, yes, you would actually have to touch the sensors to make it light up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have such a small proximity around each letter. I could see you'd probably have to make the board bigger than a conventional one.
Yeah.
Just so that you could have enough spacing in between. So that it would be set, it'd only be setting off whatever one they were picking. It'd be like, basically it'd be just like a REM pod, wouldn't it? But on a smaller scale.
Yeah. Like the hover.
I like that. That's quite a good idea, actually. I quite like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There could be a full version. Go on, sorry.
Because that would not involve, apart from probably, would you need to? Would we as investigators actually need to touch the board? You wouldn't, would you?
No, exactly. This is what I'm saying. If it could be completely automated, this takes away from manipulation in that respect. If your board is anchored level, i.e. you've got a spirit level, so you've centered it and everything, and then you lash it down with suckers or whatever.
You could have it mounted for that specific reason. You could have it mounted on a camera tripod that's got a leveling thing on it.
Yeah.
That way you could have the board completely independent of anything.
Yeah.
Plus,
you
could level it.
Yeah. If you've got this little hover puck with a sensor in the center, like I've said, and all the letters and the central pointer that's got a sensor on it, so that when that sensor on puck gets aligned with the sensor on the board, it will say the word or the letter. So as soon as it's done that, it will go back to center. It's programmed to go back to center. So you've got a diode in center at board, so that it'll come back, hover back, and then it hovers to a letter, triggers, then comes back. Hover to a letter, triggers, come back. That's going to spell out automatically. And because it's literally just hovering, you've not manipulated it. You can't manipulate it. It's doing it itself. The only person that's manipulating that is spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric said thought all that.
Yeah, the only thing is, Eric, can you get us one by next week?
Yeah, I think that would be brilliant. It really would. A hover puck.
Yeah, because you've got to start making
Okay.
things that are totally hands off, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah, because people are people now. We've got
Yeah.
so skeptic that, oh, no, did you see him shove that? Oh, no, I'm not having that. No, somebody move that. Well, if it's
Eric says,
dome,
no, sorry.
How about the week after?
no, I think if it's in a dome, if it's completely sealed in a dome, and that puck is just hovering, that would be brilliant. That would be brilliant.
Yeah.
That would probably prove that spirit exists if you could do that one. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody's got to try it.
if you could design a Ouija board that doesn't have any human contact at all, you've
Yeah.
eradicated most. Most abilities to fake it, haven't you? So, or any, manipulation, that whether it be you realise you're doing it or not, it just completely takes that out of the equation.
Exactly.
And if
Now, there's gonna be somebody-
if each sensor only goes to a proximity of say an inch, and nobody's anywhere near it,
yeah,
and it's not affected by radio frequencies or anything like that, you've got it sussed, haven't you?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
that'd be a cracking piece of equipment.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
For me, it wouldn't have to be programmable. This is the thing. All it has to do is hover. The only program it will have is to keep centering, to stay in the center. Once it drifts off, it will drift off where it needs to drift off or where it wants to drift off. But once it's touched a letter, once it's made contact with a letter, no matter what letter it is, it will then recenter. Now that's the only programming I would say is needed. I mean, you can use drones, you can send them up, you can program a configuration and it'll come back to center. That's programmable in every way. But I would suggest that this puck isn't. The only thing it's programmed to do is to keep coming back to center.
Yeah.
And then they would prove that spirits moved it. Because it's not programmed to go anywhere else. So if it drifts off center, it'll stay off center till it makes contact. And then when it makes contact with a letter, that letter then programs it to go back to center. That's all it's done.
Yeah.
Once it's gone to center, it stays there until something or someone makes it move.
Eric says, I don't know, do radios turn off touch lamps? It's basically the same principle.
You can do that with radios, obviously, yeah. I mean, it's just like a touch lamp, basically, isn't it? But
yeah.
So,
yeah, somebody needs to start doing that, don't they?
yeah.
Work on something like that, yeah.
You could do a really freaky Ouija board that it actually says the letters. That would freak people out in the dark, wouldn't it?
Well, this is what I'm saying. This would, because each letter is programmed to say its own letter type of thing. So you've got your center, which your puck is hovering over the center, your center point. That doesn't do anything. It's just sending a little signal saying, I've arrived home type of thing. And then when spirit wants to move it, when it gets over a particular letter, that letter will speak the letter, but it also sends the pucker signal to go back to base.
Yeah.
That'd be phenomenal.
It would.
Really would.
And it was designed right here on this show, and we got proof of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got copyright.
Eric says, who is speaking?
People can say Ouija board, yeah, it would freak people right out. But yeah.
You'd be a multi-millionaire, Eric.
Yeah, well, I've just gave somebody something to get into, which is what I
Yeah.
tend to do.
The being is you'd have to call it something else because we just copyrighted, isn't it? But,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you've got to pay Bryce something for the idea.
yeah.
yeah. I want royalties.
Yeah, the royalties. Yeah.
We could call it. Well, they've already used talking board, haven't they? Speaking board. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We could call it the greeting spirit board. Woohoo!
Greatest people. Yeah.
You're gonna shit yourself, board.
I have definite proof board. No, it's an idea. It really is an idea. And there is lots of ideas out there. And some of these gadgets, I think that they started off on that line, but people get fed up, don't they? They can't perfect them. There's no way really to perfect them. So they stop short on the entertainment line, I think. And they sell, don't get me wrong, they sell because anybody, if you market something properly, you're going to sell something, aren't you? But
Yeah, I think the problem with some of the gadgets are they've gone too far with the technology.
yeah,
I mean, I've got the Ovilus 3, which everybody swears by, but the newer versions, it's just gone. I mean, the Ovilus 3 has got a data bank of so many words, yet people have had words come up on it that aren't in the data bank.
yeah,
So
yeah.
obviously, there's something a bit strange going on there. But
But is the practitioner there to be able to read that properly?
I think
This is what I'm saying.
why if the Ovilus 3 was doing so well, and most investigators swear by the Ovilus 3 rather than anything that came after it, because it was the simpler one, and the others they've added more, bigger data banks, blah blah blah, and it's not entirely known whether or not the newer ones know where you are. Whereas the Ovilus 3 hasn't got that sort of stuff in it. It doesn't know where it is.
Maybe it should be re-examined on the frequency line as well, like I've said.
Yeah.
When you start messing with a gadget, it's like hotels. You change the frequency of it, and sometimes it works, but 9 times out of 10, it's not as effective, like you said. Why is that? Because you've changed the frequency, you've changed its makeup. So it's just not going to be as effective.
Yeah.
Re-examine, go back to your roots type of thing.
I mean,
Well, you've caused Eric a dilemma now because he doesn't know which one. So which one?
Yeah, just go with a Sensory Ouija board. That'll do. But we call it the speaking board because no one's used that one yet.
Yeah.
You've got Ouija, you've got talking boards, you've got spirit boards, speaking board. I've never heard that being used yet. So
I think I'm onto something with this puck, this hovering puck. I really do.
So if anyone's any ideas how to build it,
yeah,
get in touch with Brian.
I think Eric's already got his pencil out, hasn't
he? Yeah, Eric started already.
Well, if you think about, there's that little game, isn't there, when you go into an arcade and what have you, and you've got a nylon puck.
Oh, air hockey. Air hockey. Yeah.
Something on that line, something similar.
Yeah.
So it's got his name. It's a speaking board. Speaking board it is.
Yeah, copyright it now while you can.
Yeah.
Right, we've got 4 minutes left.
So soon.
So
we had to do this Farewell, goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.
We didn't go down as many rabbit holes as we expected to.
No, we didn't, did we?
We stuck to it.
But we've designed a new device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been very productive this evening.
Yeah.
Very
Is there
productive.
any more questions before we go? I know some of us guests obviously got fed up and went. But never mind.
Not to worry. Not to worry.
And what did we get for Sunday? Can't remember again.
We
My
are
memory's
doing
gone.
Familiars on Sunday.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be a good news. Yes, familiars. There is quite a big subject there. Subject
Yeah,
matter is.
I'd just like to point out I've got a black cat, but I'm Norwich.
There you go. That is the most common. But you would be surprised.
And the funny thing, he's been sunbathing a lot, and his hair's gone sort of light brown at the minute. It's quite funny. It's almost like his fur's been highlighted.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
The black cats
Yeah.
for some reason, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got like a funny, almost gingery brown colour. It's like you're the same.
That's often so.
Yeah.
It's been another day. Got a bit of spruce Lucy up.
Oh, my legs are itchy. I've had my socks on too tight.
Right, we're on 58, so I'm going to do the readout for the other shows for the week.
Okie dokie. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Right, Monday we have the Dark Mirror Radio Show with Josh, Wayne, and Mark. Tuesday, Simply Spooky Jar of Doom, and that's with a guest. No, it's not. With various hosts. I don't know who's on this week. Wednesday, Simply Spooky is with a guest. That's with Viv, Dan, and Eric. Thursday is The Weird Room with Tim, Eric, and Dan. Next Friday is our Freaky Friday. Saturday is Metaphysical Insights with William Becker. And Sunday is Shadows and Lights, 7 p.m.
With me and thee, as usual. And I think Tuesday, I think it's me and you, Ian. I think me and you.
Oh, yeah, it's you. Yeah. You're doing,
Yeah,
Can People Be Haunted? Is it Can People Be Haunted?
something like that, yeah.
Okay,
Which
that's
is-
now.
For me, in that possession.
No, not really.
What is it then?
It's like
Don't make sense to me.
it's almost like having an attachment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So
Or-
could that possibly be past life?
Well, that's one possibility, isn't it? If you
Past life.
if you talk about it now, we won't be able to talk about it on Tuesday.
Well, I'm just trying to work out what it is. I'm just
Right,
trying
we've got
to
some
work out what it
a
is.
few more comments. So we'll do the comments and then we'll have to go.
Yeah.
Eric says, "Oh, another good one."
Cheers.
And Eric, a
Scottish
Scottish
cat.
cat.
If you want to laugh, Eric, my mum as a kid had a Scottish wildcat as a pet.
Ooh.
Only my mother could do such a thing.
Hello, Charles.
My uncles were petrified of it.
Charles said, "Another interesting show." Eric
Cheers.
says, yes, that's the subject. And Rita says, "Awesome live." Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
And with that, we have to say goodbye. So it's good night from me.
It's
And
goodbye
it's
from
good
me,
night from him.
and
Good
goodbye
night.
It's
from all
good
three
night
of
from
us.
you.
Good night, guys. Bye bye.
Right, guys.
Cutty boy.